Cool.
Swiftly.
I think the next one we should do is obviously
The ARC-170.
The ARC-170.
So to follow up from the double ARC, we have the ARC-170, which, like the Thai Special Forces, has a front and rear ARC. There. Mr. Yules has opened this one earlier, so
this is actually Mr. Yules's again.
Nicely.
It doesn't have to be an unboxing in a literal sense. You just have to have the stuff.
It just has to be unboxed.
I love the model. I absolutely love
it's
that model. It's such a cool model.
Thing is, I kind of got an idea to have it repainted already.
Oh, really? But it looks cool on its own.
It does.
It's got a little bit. I don't know if the weathering's a little bit too much, but I shouldn't complain. I didn't have to paint it.
I've got an idea for some lightningness on that, because that'll just look so cool.
Look at that. It's a lovely ship. It's
gorgeous.
It's really a flying fortress.
And someone obviously made the point as to say this is the first ship that is technically pre-4.
It is indeed.
It is technically the first ship that is a pre-4 ship.
Dirty words.
You have to be careful with that.
We have to be careful, but
because Rebels
I think...
sits between 3 and 4.
But it originated in episode 3.
Yeah, the first time it was released was episode 3. So it's nice to see them sort of kind of venturing into that hazy area. But in the same vein, I really like it. It was one of the coolest ships of the film.
Yeah.
It was a really interesting model. It had this really cool thing going for it. It was like the predecessor of the X-Wing.
Yeah,
essentially.
That's what it's kind of designed to evoke. That kind of feeling.
I would probably like to be running up in one of these with its stats than an X-Wing.
So, Dave, why don't you lead us through the discussion with the ARC-170?
So, unlike Elliot's Thai SF, there is no generics. There is no generic pilots.
We've seen
Second
that.
time.
Yeah,
Second time.
Second
Interesting
or third
things
time,
are
if you
afoot.
think with the Ghost and the Attack Shuttle.
Yeah.
They were both non...
Yeah, well, this is the second expansion.
Yeah, okay.
They've done this now.
Considering that the lowest pilot skill one is 25 points. Imagine what a generic could be.
Yeah.
But what you've got to consider is...
Would be intriguing.
So the lowest one, as Chris said, is Braylen Stram. Yeah, okay, yes, 25 points. But on the other hand, the generic for the Thai SF was 23 points. It didn't have an ability.
You've got to remember as well what you're getting for 25 points.
You're paying
as well.
for pilot skill. You're paying for the pilot skill maneuver dial upgrade bar and the ability most of the time.
And the first thing that instantly rings out on all these ARC-170s is that upgrade bar. It's the first time this has happened. An Astromech and a crew slot.
Yes, we saw a
Not
salve.
the first
Well,
time.
it
sorry,
is.
the jumps.
The jumps have a salvaged Astromech slot. That's an entirely different
Yeah,
slot.
true.
So
And that sort of then opens the door quite widely.
it does.
For those who have obviously seen the list that's come out, you've seen the fact I've utilised both those slots. Probably to the best of
I
its-
don't see
well,
how
one of its
you
best
can build the
abilities.
ship and not utilise that, because
No.
it's a really unique opportunity.
It's
Which is what a lot of the ships, if you've looked and spent a bit of time with them, they've all got unique opportunities to be built.
Speaking as a designer, I would have definitely designed the entire idea of the Arc around using both those slots together.
Yeah.
So I think not using them would be a disservice to the ship itself.
Well, you go one way, you like, for example, you use crew, well, why don't you use a K-Wing? If you're using an Astromech, why don't you use a Y-Wing?
Or an X-Wing.
They've both got similar sort of stat lines in that regard, apart from the double arc and the shield and hull rearranged.
The thing is, with the Astromech slot, it's like, if you're not using it, why not shove a... I know I've already gone over it, and you think I'm obsessed with these, but R2 Astromech, it's like
1 point.
bump up greens, 1 point.
1 point. I got 99 points. What am I going to do? R2 Astromech.
Yeah.
Anyway,
What's the dial like?
The dial, as I sort of said to start off with, I quite liked it when it first came out. 6 green manoeuvres. So you've got the banks and the straights at speed 1 and 2 as greens.
It's kind of 6 green like the bog standard though, isn't it? Like almost. It's sort of like 5-6. I always.
Not all the time.
Y-wings were 2.
True.
Yeah,
well,
well,
that is just Y-wings.
Yeah.
Yes,
But
that is it's supposed to be a heavy ship.
X-Wing, 1, 2 straight, 1 banked, and that's it.
Yeah.
So that's 4. But then it came 5 with the
5
T65.
So it's got a pretty decent.
Ignoring all of the
amount.
interceptor style ships.
What's interesting is that they're all greens, all kind of placed very close together. Which some ships do that, like for example the Thai Interceptor, all their 2s green, I believe.
Yeah.
The A-wing, all their 2s are green. The A-wings, all the straights are green.
There's some
All the
symmetry
yeah,
going on.
Yeah.
the defenders, all their straights are green. So.
Yeah.
So this could be an interesting place to put maybe like Hero as a crew card, because you can then decide to choose which one of those green maneuvers do you wish to do, or one of those.
No, that's
Oh, sorry, that's the
her crew ability is different. It's,
So-
you can do
sorry,
red
yeah.
maneuvers when you are stressed.
Yeah, sorry, my apologies. Yeah, it's
The
the
thing I really like as a thematic kind of thing is the fact that all the hardest and the heaviest speed maneuvers are red.
yeah.
So the 3 hards, the 4 straight, and the 4 K10 are all red, which makes sense. It's an old ship. It's not as
Slow and clunky.
It's 20
can be
years.
slow and clunky.
It's
It
20
can
years.
be-
Plus, also, it as yours pointed out, it's a flying fortress, essentially.
Yeah.
It is there to tank and to do massive damage back, not there to do swift maneuvers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's your paint job, by the way, folks.
Camo style paintwork, yeah.
I was thinking
Spitfires, you know.
more like silver. Anyway, yeah. So it's I looked at it because I never normally look at these. I just pop a dial and go. That's because I'm a terrible player. Anyway, it's
No,
basically
you're not,
pumped up.
Mr. Yules.
It's a pumped up Y-wing. You've got banks that are green now.
Yeah.
The rest of the dial is exactly
Exactly
the
the
same.
same.
It's kind of like a hybrid between an X-wing, a Y-wing, and a K-wing almost.
Yeah, which is quite fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, so let's actually get onto the pilots. So
Yeah.
as I said, we've got
So-
pilot skill 3.
Stat line. What's the stat line? Of
So the
ship?
stat line, it can obviously fire front and back. So it's got 2 attack, 1 evade, 6 hull, 3 shields.
So it's
So
fairly
it's pretty
tanky.
tanky.
Yeah.
It's
So
pretty,
it's
pretty
got,
tanky.
It's got 9 hit points, the same as what a K-wing is, slightly rejuggled around a little
You'll be
bit.
taking damage, but you don't really mind.
Speaking of the Y-wing comparison again, it's basically almost the same stat line, except for the 1 plus hull.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is pretty much exactly the same.
You wanted to say something, yours?
I've completely forgotten what I was going to say. Oh yeah, that's what I was going to say. Yeah, typical rebel juggernaut. Lots of hull, no evade. Neonate makes nothing. So it's same category as B wings, K wings, Y wings.
And of course, they're doing
All
so
the
well.
wings.
They're doing so well in the meta right now.
Oh yes. God.
They are with you, Mr. Yules.
That's true.
We don't speak
Right.
of that, you know.
Okay, Braylen Stram.
Braylen Stram, yeah. I've had a little look at these. I thought, well, could I do something with these in a tournament? Can I use all of them? Well, the only way you can do that, because as we were saying, the base is 25, would be to look at escalation. So I had a little tinker thinking, well, could I get them all in? Well, the answer to that question is yes, but at 148 points. So it is quite a long way to go. But
Yeah, what's the ability?
Braylen Stram, after you execute a maneuver, you may roll an attack dice. On a hit or crit, remove 1 stress from your ship. So,
50% chance of removing a stress.
yeah.
This is one of 2 ships that can go on his own in the set.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
This being the first one. You will find out why when we get to that
You're
point.
You're making
bold
faces,
claims.
Mr. Yules. What are you at?
I'm making faces in the corner of the table. I don't like him.
You don't like Braylen.
You don't like Braylen.
There you go. Done.
Well,
I have to. My favourite of the set we will get to later, but I do somewhat like him. I don't think he's terrible.
No, he's not terrible. It's
You
just
have a 50% chance of
the other
never
ones are
losing your
better.
action.
Yeah.
and if you were to
That-
match him with Kyle Katarn, if his ability triggers, you get a focus off Kyle Katarn.
That's a brilliant use of Kyle Katarn on the
Yeah.
arc. I'll give it.
actually.
Then again,
I mentioned this to these the other week, Mr. Yules. You probably slept since
I
then.
forget what I did yesterday. I'm surprised I can
it's one of
play
those
this game.
things that, to be fair, you can technically play it with Jan Ors and get a free evade instead of a focus, you know? So it has potential, it has utility, it's a cool little gimmick. Yeah, it's a thing that's on chance, but let's face it, sometimes the
isn't?
fun things are. I mean, look how well Dengar is doing. And that's 2 of its best cards, its Astromech and its ability, are basically off chance. So...
That is true.
And we see what happens when they go badly wrong. I like him. He's definitely one that if you're
Yeah.
at escalation, don't discount him.
Pilot skill?
Pilot skill 3, coming in at 25 points. No elite pilot talent, but the other, like the rest of the arcs, it does have a torpedo slot, crew slot, and astromech slot.
It can also do a focus and a target lock. That's the only 2 actions the arcs can
Yeah,
do.
Very restrictive
Very
action.
much
It's very
like the
restrictive
Y-wing.
action bar, so if you're going to get those extra actions, you are going to have to pay for them.
But there is something that comes out that may help that, but we'll get on to
Well,
that.
we'll get onto that,
Yeah,
yes.
when we get that.
Who's
So-
the next one?
so
I'll
next-
show this to the audience.
The next one is all about,
Brilliant
you've
Stram.
got a friend in me kind of.
And when
kind
we
of
are
style.
moving on to the 2 guys that require someone with them.
Yeah.
If the camera would like to focus, that'd be great.
We'll get there eventually, folks. It's technology.
It's technology.
Need to
There
burn,
we
burn
go.
some holy incense or something. I need my red robes on.
Yeah. So, the next guy is Thane Kyrell.
He was in a recent book, I believe. He's a new character.
Thane.
Thane.
He comes in at 1 point more than Braylen and with an extra pilot skill. It's not bad.
Not bad.
After an enemy ship inside your firing arc at range 1 to 3 attacks another friendly ship, you may perform a free action.
Yeah.
That's good. It's good action economy.
Action economy.
Oh,
That's what we call it.
I remember that people, when this was announced, didn't like it because it's got 2 actions. What's it going to do? And people easily forget there are upgrades which have the action header.
Yeah.
Like Lando Calrissian.
that was my first choice.
Like
R7T1.
R7T1 or
The
R2F2.
Yeah,
Yes.
R2F2, which gives you a
The
free
agility.
extra agility.
R2F2 have big star glares. Someone, although you probably want R2F2 on Biggs himself, but have R2F2 on Thane. They fire at Biggs. R2F2. If someone catches at Biggs is able to fire at Biggs and can fire at Thane, Thane's then got extra agility.
Another one I thought about having a chat with one of our local players today, and he was talking about like making stress bots. So R3A2, what you could do on him, which is quite fun, is you could throw R3A2 on him. You could throw one of the other upgrades we're going to see, which is vector thrusters. Gives you barrel roll. Spoiler, guys. 2 points. And you could put a tactician on him. And what you could do is you could have other people shoot him, and then he could put himself in range 2 of people. He can like dictate the engagement after everyone's moved, barrel roll into range 2, double stress someone.
But on the other hand,
Nasty.
Why not you put him on Braylen? Because then you've got 50-50 chance of removal.
Because Braylen is dictated by dice, and I'm not willing to spend my money on dice.
Well,
It's why you never seen it's why you don't see Lando Calrissian anymore. It's because it's like I have to rely on dice for stuff. Whereas this one, it kind of plays into more tactician, and the problem I've always had with tactician is I don't like it because it's confined to range 2. It's the problem I had. Whereas this, you can move after everyone else has moved and move yourself into the ideal position. You can even arc dodge. That's nuts.
Arc dodging with an arc.
Yeah. Or you could use R71 to dodge, move yourself to range 1, etc.
I like Thane. Good action economy. 26 is getting a bit pricey, but I think you get what you're paying for.
You got to remember the last one was 25, and you're only getting a +1.
There's also
skill.
no restriction on how many actions you can perform. The only thing that restricts you is the action bar and the upgrades you have. So as long as you have enough to keep on utilising it, you can keep on doing it.
Yeah.
So,
It's kind of limited by the number of ships that your opponent brings with you to the table, or brings with them to the table.
We're moving on to my favourite one now.
That's such a cool piece of artwork. I do like that.
This is
You're
the
right there,
one.
Chris. I don't think are we allowed to show
If there's anything,
is he allowed to make those noises on screen?
I think you'd have a warning for that.
behave yourself, Chris.
I love this. I love this girl.
Shara Bey.
For those
She's
who-
literally Bay.
for those who have seen
I know
my
we're on the
list,
internet. Please.
for those who have seen my list, the action economy pun was very much intended. This is where my list sort of started off, mainly because of her ability. She moves up from pilot skill 4 to pilot skill 6, costing 28 points. So it's a bit of a jump.
It's a 2-point jump.
But your TISFs, every time they moved up from 1, it was 2 points more, and 2 points in the...
2 points is generally how much it would cost to go up pilot skill.
Yeah.
In the game.
Points for pilot skill. Same with the other 2. Points for pilot skill.
So, Shara Bey, when another friendly ship at range 1 to 2 is attacking, it may treat its blue target lock as its own. Doesn't that ring any bells to those who love their K-Wings? Because isn't Ascend Nikita exactly the same, but for focuses?
Isn't technically Garvin essentially the same as well?
Garvin transfers when he spends.
It's just the exact
It's
same
another one of those
wording
things
is...
that it's playing on the theme of rebels work together and help one another,
hugs.
which I love.
Space hugs.
I do
Space
like that
hugs.
scene. Yeah, rebels work together.
And it's also bringing back the whole formation kind of flying thing, which I find
Mr. Yultz.
pretty thematic and cool.
Formations. It's the future. Just don't crash into yourself.
But, yeah, at pilot skill 6, and it now gets an EPT, the same with Norra, we'll get onto in a moment.
She's very solid.
Yeah.
She's very solid.
Because there's even if you're not like, I might talk about ordnancy things. Even just normally, she's good because you can just hand out target locks to people, stay at the back.
There was a discussion back in one of the older tournaments about utilizing weapons engineer, and that discussion was born after Shara Bey. It was actually by Duncan, wasn't it? Who raised that discussion. Finds a target for weapons engineer. Because this card was something I think it was revealed sort of somewhere around that time.
No, that was ages back.
Oh, yeah, right, you know what I mean. But this was building towards that.
Yeah,
we now having finally another target for weapons engineer, which would work really well.
This is what I love about the meta is that cards get released and people are like, "Oh, that's a useless card. I don't want to use that." Like I was talking with someone the other day. I think it was actually Robin himself, who was talking about using countermeasures on a YT-2400. On a new build for using after revealing the new so
get three
people rarely use that, but the thing is the fact that they're discussing it is interesting, and now that weapons engineer is now usable on Shara Bey, not that it wasn't usable before, but it's more effective. It just makes it
I already have a great build as well.
I was with my build, I was stuck in a few choices here. Do I use weapons engineer to give it the 2 target locks, which is what I've done, and then run R7, so I have once per turn 2 choices of what I go for if it still remains, or play on the manoeuvres, and that's what I've done with my R2D2 in there.
See, I'm playing on the new Astromech that got revealed in Heroes of the Resistance, which
M9G8.
I'd love to talk about
M9G8.
I'm going to talk about it anyways. Do we have time to talk about it though?
I'd say
keep moving on, but I would recommend
check out those spoilers.
Yeah, check in that spoiler, check out that Astromech, and you will get what I mean. It's fantastic.
It brilliantly pairs with Shara, and we can't wait till that comes out.
Yes. So, quick point on Shara. Obviously, lots of ordnance. There's a couple of pieces of ordnance that don't use target locks, like advanced homing missiles, homing missiles. Sorry. So you can have a bunch of headhunters and her. There's lots of stuff in the game that use target locks. R7 Astromech, that's pretty good. It's just utility.
The coolest thing
Big box
is,
utility.
when does it actually trigger? When another fish in range 2 is attack. So it misses that step, which is a shame. So you cannot actually use the target lock to spend for the munitions because it's missed the timing.
Is attacking. He's correct. Because you've not declared a target at that point.
Oh yeah,
you have to spend, then declare the timing. I love that new timing chart. Dash your plans.
Well, you could switch from protons to plasmas and use the target locks to re-roll.
No, it's fine because you simply reverse it. You fire. You spend the target you have to fire on the next 5, then you Shara to re-roll.
Yes, so that's the way you would have to do it.
Yeah, but we've finally got Norra Wexley.
The second
Norra
arc
Wexley
that doesn't require someone with her.
And I can't remember which one it is, but I believe this is Poe Dameron's mother.
No, it's the mother of Snap Wexley. One of the latest T-70 pilots to be revealed for the game.
For Heroes of Resistance.
I got myself confused then between stuff. I should have got that by the last name.
I believe Shara Bey is...
Shara Bey.
I don't remember which one is
Shara Bey is Poe's mother.
That's the one. That's the one. So would people be looking to try and run Poe and Shara?
I wonder if his father deals with focus.
Hey.
Oh dear. Go on.
Right, anyway.
So, Norra Wexley.
So are you saying it's a Sesh?
Spoiler alert.
Dun, dun, dun.
So Norra Wexley, pilot skill 7, coming in at 29 points. So it's not much more expensive than Shara. So
it's wedge Antilles. That's why I look at it.
Yeah. When attacking or defending, you may spend a target lock you have on the enemy ship to add 1 focus result.
So the overall aspect of this was Norra was going to be paired up with Shara because she'd then use Shara's target lock to immediately trigger her in effect. That was one of the ideas that they used on the spoiler. I like that idea. That was a really cool idea. Yeah.
It's nice.
You just throw weapons engineer and you get both. Yeah, attacking and defending, or 2 defending. Because that's what I think that I keep forgetting about is it's for defending and attacking.
Yes.
And an entertaining thought is you could throw CP3 on her, I should say. Roll and go, I guess not. Roll a focus and then spend your target lock, get another focus, you get the CP3 result, and you just focus it up for 3 evade.
That's really good. I like
That's totally.
It's it's highly situational.
That's so
Highly
bonkers.
situational, but
That
awesome.
could work. I'll have to have a little look into
Well,
that.
it will work sometimes.
Yes.
Some of the time.
Some of the time.
I make no promises.
But
It's
that's
just
a bonkers idea. That's just one
maths.
bonkers idea that just works.
And
It's-
bonkers ideas are working at the
We all
moment.
like to build bonkers builds.
yeah,
Every
there's
now and
every
then.
now and then you want to build
Spandau
something
Ballet
little
comes to
bonkers.
mind.
Well, I wouldn't call that too bonkers.
That was
but,
bonkers of 96 for a 4-point initiative bid.
like, I was playing the other game last night.
Oh.
And I found a way to drop
Shrinking.
mines on a person turn 1 using just one ship. Forward.
I watched this.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
actually
it-
watched
yeah.
this.
It's just
He
like
moved the entire board in one turn.
in the first turn of movement, a 6 forward Voyager, Picard maneuver to do a 5 forward.
You
Picard
forgot-
disable Picard's shields to then do another maneuver, which then you then discard on your attack. The mines drop the mines on your opponent, and you're also behind them, so you can flank them.
That sounds incredibly mean.
I'll have to show you that one time. Anyway, moving on back to
Moving
X-Wing.
back- so let's keep it X-wing.
Let's keep it X-Wing.
So this is
so-
this is where the rest of your money is going is left
Oh yeah.
on the upgrade cards.
So one thing about Norra Wexley, you're adding results, not changing. You're adding. So if you're shooting from your front, you're
It's basically
normally
like
3
adding an
di-
extra dice, but
Yeah.
you're adding the result
It's-
of that dice, not
It's
a
backdraft. It's advanced tie. No, not advanced tie. Sorry, tie advanced. Target lock nonsense. You're just adding results, which
Yeah.
is another sort of theme going on. There's lots of adding results into the game, which is cool.
Okay.
Do you want to do a
we
title
start-
first?
I can do. I noticed there's one card that I can't find in there as we go through it, and that happens to be the title. Which is probably around somewhere, but we'll get onto that when the guys can find it. But we'll go through the rest of the pack when we get here. We've got Adrenaline Rush, which is nice. I quite like that. You can discard when you reveal a red maneuver. You may discard it and treat that as a white maneuver for the rest of the round.
Where's the bag?
So one shot for fun. That's there.
We'll be looking.
Well, look, yeah,
We'll look.
you guys look.
We're
So
having technical difficulties.
we have Adrenaline Rush, which we've seen before.
Oops.
So
So,
we've
Adrenaline
seen,
Rush,
we've seen
so-
before.
One pot shot, red to white.
Red to white, simple as that.
Recon Specialist. We've seen
know
this
what
a
that
lot
one
of
is
time.
now.
We know what that one does.
Here we go.
Haha!
Oh my god! Oh
yes,
my
the
god!
rest of this is completely brand new. Tail Gunner, as Elliot was mentioning earlier, when attacking from your rear facing auxiliary arc, reduce the defender's agility by 1.
Hi, Cascada.
Wait,
Hi,
I'll
Cascada.
show them the card for Gunner. Tell them.
Hi,
Which-
Cat Scarlet.
Which is
I was going to say this is now
Hi,
where you can mention
Cascada.
Scarlet. So not only is Kath
It
going to
is-
fire 1 additional attack dice, but
It
she's
is
going
a
to make them
limited
roll
card.
1 less defense dice.
It is,
It is a limited card, which for good reasons.
I'm pretty sure there's good reasons
There's
why.
very
it's
good
limited.
Looking at you,
reasons why it's
Dengar.
limited.
No, Bosk. Sorry, wrong bounty hunter. Bosk.
Boss,
Is it
Bosk-
rear?
Bosk
Does it
would
say
not
rear
trigger.
firing arc?
Because it's
It's
rear
rear
firing.
firing.
Rear
Not
face
my
auxiliary
apologies.
firing arc. So, but for someone like Kath who loves showing off her booty,
You say that, not us.
Yeah.
she
note all the
she
booties
she
come out.
enjoys having a tail gunner with her. You know,
Please,
that's
please send all your complaints to Chris Turner at
Yeah.
Athena Games.
No,
Really?
You haven't got even.
Really?
That's not businessy. Just
I'm keeping it PG and just saying this.
Right, so we've got a couple of Astromechs.
2 points, not bad. I want to point out
Yeah.
quickly there.
Sorry.
it's cool.
Greetings, Mr.
you-
Tsubasa Akari.
Hello, Tsubasa.
Hey! So we've got it's the same Astromech twice, but it's the R3 Astromech. Once per round, when attacking with a primary weapon, you may cancel one of your focus results during the modified attack dice step to assign one evade token to your ship.
A
I
lot,
like that.
A lot of people have been poo-pooing this card.
I like it.
I also like it because you get, although you're paying 2 points, I think it's overpriced. I think it was 1 or even free, it would have been better. The fact that you're getting something for when you don't have... We've all been there where you don't have a focus token and you roll focus results and you've got nothing to modify those with. It gives you a way of still using those focus results in a positive way by giving you an evade. It's fairly good on X-Wings. We've got the 2 evade dice.
Basically, it's very situational, and that was the thing that people are pew-pewing about it.
Well, it
Yeah.
also leaves it open to another idea. You could spend your focus anyway to modify 1. If you, let's say you had, just your standard 2 to start off with. So you had 2 focuses. You could decide to spend your focus token to do 1, so you at least potentially get some damage through, and then use the R3 Astromech to then change the other one to evade.
I was not aware that
You
they
see
brought
It's an idea.
I'm
You
not
can use
sure.
a focus to turn any number of focuses you wish.
That is
is
true.
That is part of
That is
It's
part of the
game.
rules.
That's
But-
the same as with Thingy.
I don't see why you would.
It's just an idea.
Yeah, it's an idea,
It's an idea.
All to
It's,
the credit of the
it's a
idea.
clever idea.
but
It's-
I don't see why you would. It's like, oh, I'm just going to throw
I-
results. Unless it's something you're not going to hit. Like,
But it could help with C3PO.
cloaked.
I was gonna say, I hate to say it, I kind of have to agree with yours.
I do.
It does depend on what obviously the rest of the result is.
Hmm.
If you've got hits already, why wouldn't you just go straight all in
Yeah.
for the attack?
It
you
can't-
might as well try and get the
It
damage
can't
off.
hurt you
Yeah.
if it's
I mean,
dead.
it's can't hurt you if it's dead. Yeah, that's what I mean. So you might as well
Unless-
throw in all in the attack. That's
Unless
the
you're
trouble.
going against something you really have no chance of hitting.
Java states, while it's a bit of an expensive combo, it's got potential with comms relay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That is a way of using it, utilizing
Yeah,
it.
because you can then keep the,
Throw
the evade.
Can't
Yeah, 'cause
take-
it's good- 'cause it's
can't
going
take,
on-
comms relay.
Yeah, but it's going on
T70s.
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 But
It's basically a way of helping T70s get a little bit more
I-
tankier.
I come back to R2 Astromechs.
Yeah.
One point less.
Might make Poe even better. Stupidly stronger.
No,
Poe just does too well with
R2D2.
that.
Poe does too well.
Now, this was a card I like the idea of.
First one I'm going to show
Yep.
the Astromech.
So,
Brand new torpedo.
brand new torpedo, and this is interesting because it's not necessarily a torpedo that you. Well, it's not a torpedo that you're going to fire at your opponents.
Yeah.
No, it's
It's
not.
It's you go, oh
It's
hey
great.
guys, I'm going for something else, and that something else is obstacles.
It's 2 points.
Yeah.
Which is very
You
cheap.
didn't even say the name. It's a seismic torpedo.
I'm getting to that in a minute. Its name is Seismic Torpedo. It's an action seismic torpedo, so you do it during your action step.
That is very interesting. It's an action
It's
header.
an action,
So-
not an attack.
So Thane could use it.
Yeah,
Yes, yeah.
and
Discard.
he's the only person I see using this. To be honest,
Ah,
Aww.
I don't know. I think it's the first 2-point torpedo we've ever had, so it's nice.
yeah. Sorry. Carry on. Tell us
Okay.
what it does.
So discard this card to choose an obstacle at range band 1 or 1 to 2. And it has to be inside your primary firing arc. So don't think about running that with something like Cavill, because that doesn't work.
Or Ghost.
Or Ghost.
Yeah.
Or Cass Scarlet with a Slave 1 title.
That's true.
Anyway,
Each ship at range 1 of the obstacles rolls 1 attack dice and suffers the result. So either a hit or a critical. Then remove the obstacle.
It's good for obstacle clearing, for starters. If you have big ships and you're running a small ship with it, or even if you just want to put it on a big ship, you can clear obstacles out of your path. It's a very it's an unusual use of it
It's
for
a
2 points.
unique way of getting damage onto ships that fly very close to obstacles.
It's the splash damage effect.
It's the
I
splash
think.
damage that's
Yeah.
really going to sell
How
it.
about this for an idea? What about some dead man switching Z95s that accidentally get caught in the crossfire? If your enemy ships take 1 and then the dead
You're
man
sounding
switch
too much
triggers-
like Adam.
Yeah, you're
No,
saying-
it's just an idea. It just opens
Yeah.
the door a little bit.
I just don't see why would you. Deadman Switch is okay if you're going to get blown up by the enemy. I just don't see any situation where you'd want to blow your own ships
No.
up.
It's just an idea.
Because if you look, yeah, Carol.
I see this more being used as a way of removing an obstacle ready for an attack. So if someone's done like the arc dodge kind of thing where they've hidden themselves behind an asteroid,
Not anymore.
it's basically
Bam!
a way of going, cool, you've hidden yourself behind that asteroid. Okay, I'll blow up that asteroid, dealing you a damage, and
Potentially.
also I've also now got a nice clear shot on you for this coming round. That's the way I see it.
one of the things about this is I always admit I was excited about this when we saw the pictures, like when the initial wave was spoiled, because I was like, oh cool, it's got an action header. It seems like it was going to fill that torpedo slot that or every X-wing and all those other ships that have had, that one slot that you're never going to use, because as we've seen with extra munitions, if you have 2 slots, you can make use of it with a slot, with 1 torpedo slot and 1 missile slot. I hoped it would do the same thing as the mines that gives you target locks. Can't remember what it's called.
Oh, well, the traces.
Thread tracers, yes. I hoped it would do the same thing as
Missiles,
thread
yeah.
tracers. It would be a utility. It is, but it's not the utility that I wanted.
I think it's still very interesting. Hear me out here, because can you imagine a TIE bomber squadron who have Palpatine riding in another ship with them, all with seismic torpedoes? Because Palpatine could affect the...
And you could modify that back down to, and I'm not going to take the damage.
And
No.
You
guarantee a crit on anything at range 1 of any asteroid.
You also got to remember, because it's a
unlucky.
torpedo, guidance ships works on it.
Guidance
ships work on one of the results. So,
It's a secondary weapon.
it's a secondary torpedo / missile thing. So it's guidance ships can work.
Yeah,
on it.
it's once per round.
I have my Bible. It's fine.
Search the Bible.
I'm going to look this up because I'm intrigued.
Well,
I think that's the way it works.
Why has this suddenly changed your opinion? I'm gonna hold up the card, people.
Yeah, after Mr. Gills was
realised, like, what?
That look of face of a man who just realised something.
I'll give you the text. There you go. Right. So modification, blah blah blah. Except you've seen this if you use your torpedoes. Once per round, when attacking with a torpedo or missile secondary weapon, you may change one die result to a hit or a critical if you have a primary weapon of 3 or higher. So
which on X-wings would be a crit.
Are you technically attacking with when you're doing the thing though?
You're not rolling for every ship. You're rolling for the 1 damage across it all.
Yeah,
so
FFG. Fact that.
It will need an FAQ.
They might need an FAQ because obviously the terminology is attacking.
I would say yes.
That's a clever idea and I love it.
We'll have to see how that one goes.
I now dare you to do seismic torpedoes X-wing swarm with guidance chips.
Seismic Hawk is an odd yet awesome upgrade. It is very, very specific. Yes, it is a very specific utility.
If you've got those 2 points in your list and you don't know what to do with them, seismic torpedoes.
Yeah, it's a good utility use of them.
It is. It's doing the same thing as thread tracers. Admittedly, I'd like target locks, but that's just me. But if you've got 2 points and you just don't know what to do with them, don't take.
You've also got to remember the thread tracers are a missile. This is a torpedo.
Yeah, I know.
So this is
what I'm saying is, I wanted an alternative that was the same.
Yeah.
Didn't get it, but there we go. Yeah, that's what I wanted. I wanted the same level of utility. I don't know what it'd do. Maybe this is their answer to thread tracers, but there you go. Anyway,
so so the next card, which
I like.
David,
take
us away with this one.
So this is vector thrusters. Well, this is obviously seismic torpedoes.
Well, we're showing off the card for you guys. That's what we normally do after discussing it. But we're now going on to a brand new modification.
dramatic reveal.
Vector
For
thrusters.
small ship only. This is important. This is for small ship only.
Don't think about giving
Don't
it to
think
that
about giving it
Ghost
to
or
Ghost or anything.
It'll be a waste giving it to the YT2400 because it already has a barrel roll. But we'll
Finally, we have a modification that gives barrel roll.
It possibly, because I'm not entirely keen on engine upgrade. Gives you boost. Yeah, and it sort of sits in the same. It's not as pricey, which is nice.
Yeah,
it's not as
2
pricey,
points.
but it isn't doing the same thing because boost gives you 3 options to use, whereas this is giving you like 2.
Yeah, but
which left or right.
I actually think barrel's
left
better.
to right and infinite because you can move it any way up or down the side.
It's not infinite. It's just the length of your base.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's giving you left or right.
I think vector thrust is actually more versatile than the engine upgrade because it gives you lateral movement, which is something which not a lot of ships natively have access to. TIE fighters do, but rebel ships really struggle with that unless they're B-wings.
One of the few things that would do really well with a barrel roll but doesn't have it is an A-wing.
Yeah.
So the fact that suddenly push limit A-wings now have utility on vector thrusters is great. However,
it's a modification,
which means it does lose its auto thrusters.
Squish.
So you've got to make the you've got to make the bid. Do I really want to lose the fact I can get an agility, or do I want this barrel roll?
Why don't you just run Jake Kyrell?
Yeah, Jake.
That's what I was going to
That's
say.
my answer to that question. Is Jake Kyrell.
Yes, but what I mean is like if you're running a few. I know one of Elliot's prized builds and turn a lot of heads was the 4 generic A-wings. Or was it like named? I think there was a couple named and 2 generics.
2 or 3 generics, and I think Tycho and Jake.
Yeah. But the reason, obviously, the 2 generics died because they didn't really could do the things that Jake and Tycho could do. because you had an experimental interface kind of expert handling.
I had expert
Tycho.
handling on Tycho.
Yeah.
Yes.
And expert handling is going to make some uses with this, isn't it? Correct. Which one's the one that you can
expert
do
handling?
barrel roll?
Expert handling allows you to do a barrel roll and remove a target log, so it can be used with this. However, a ship that doesn't have the barrel roll gets stressed. However, I put it on Tycho because Tycho.
Yeah, that's
exactly. But
it's
it
the
opens
same-
up that as an idea as well.
Obviously you notice that something with the barrel, the A-wings that had the barrel did better than the A-wings that didn't. This just opens up to the fact that A-wings can now utilize the barrel roll. It just means you may have to sacrifice the auto thruster.
And it's the same point as the auto thrusters.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
literally
I
this
don't
one or
think
that.
that's a sacrifice I'm willing to make.
Yeah, exactly.
Some people do.
It
Some people
works with the arc because you've got that rear arc. That
And
lateral
you can click.
movement is going to mean a lot for someone who's when you're being pursued by someone, because you're going to be. You could also get a little bit of range movement as well. So it's like barrel roll
Well, it was
backwards
range
into
two.
range 1, hit with what you got.
The final upgrade in the pack, which I'm going to show to the camera.
Is the title.
Oh, the title, Alliance Overhaul.
It was in my box.
You might as well just take this thing every single time you play an ARC because
Why-
it is
Exactly.
0
Why wouldn't
points.
Why
I
wouldn't
would.
you?
I would have to. I think I would have to frown at you for a very, very long time if you
If you didn't
take it.
if you forgot
It's
to take
free.
it.
It's essentially what the ship is.
Yeah.
It's basically the same as the Thai Special Forces in regards to the fact that it's a 0 point title that adds something extra to the ship.
So what does it do, David?
So, when attacking with a primary weapon from your primary firing arc, you may roll 1 additional attack dice. So that means potentially 4 at range band 1, or 3 at range 2 to 3.
Talon Bane Cobra likes
Yeah.
justice.
Yeah,
Vex
see, you know.
thrusters. I would. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry about that, David.
Kiraxes,
all right.
Kiraxes, baby.
Carry
So,
on.
an additional attack dice when firing at the front. When attacking out of your auxiliary firing arc, you may change one of your focus results to a crit. Da-da!
Basically, in translation, it's a way of giving the front arc 3 and the back arc 2,
Yeah.
which is fantastic.
Well, 2 with the crit.
Yeah. So it's again both the SF and the ARC is sort of it's covering the whole all of the information for the ship is contained on the card. It's covering that sort of thing because obviously you can't shove all this writing in and have pilot abilities on top of that. So that's why you've got these. And of course, it's as we've seen as the game's progressed, we're getting more and more and more of these titles. I like the idea again as I play Armada.
Yeah.
The characters of the ships are in the titles, which is really cool.
one
It
thing
makes everything interchangeable.
The one thing which people were concerned about is that titles are the way that generally ships get fixed. So if they were ever to have to fix the ship, they've kind of already nixed themselves. I don't think so. It's very easy to add a title which says you may equip another title.
I don't
Yeah.
think
A-wings
that,
will too.
if I don't think the ship will need a fix.
No.
Let's face it.
Because-
They're at that point where they know what they're doing.
I-
They know every ship that.
I wouldn't say that.
Yeah.
I think you never know the combinations.
Yeah.
But it's very easy to say, release a new title for the ARC-170 which says you may equip another title.
Well,
with this ship.
as we've seen with the modification for the Falcon that's coming that gives you an illicit slot, they also say, oh, you get a modification as well.
Yeah.
But
like that.
you're saying about that. Where was I going with this? With the second title, well, we're going to get a second title with the Heroes of the Resistance, so a second option of playing the Falcon.
The Falcon.
The Falcon, but what we're talking about here, Dave, is the fact that this essentially makes the ship what it is, and if there was another title to fix it,
Yeah,
you effectively can't have the two titles. But what we're saying is you can always
They
just
can
put it
design-
in the card
yeah.
that you can have that title and this title. That's
Exactly.
what we're saying.
You may equip Alliance Overhaul in addition to this, or you may equip another title with the ship.
Yeah.
It's very
You may
easy to
take
add that.
Alliance
So you have
Overhaul
like a
for
variant title like
It's already
X7
free.
or the Tides.
It's already free.
Well, to be fair, just remember, there's already technically a title that does something that goes. You may get something that you don't normally can get, and that is the Mist
Mist
Hunter.
Hunter, yeah. I
So
like
they
that.
they've done something like that before. There is no reason why they can't do that.
There are
now.
ways to fix things
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
So, you know,
This is the future
yeah.
that might never
So
happen.
this is the ARC-170.
That is the ARC-170, which will give you one more look at the
It's
gorgeous model.
gorgeous model.
I love this a lot.
It's so pretty.
I will say this model is gorgeous.
I
Drop
love
dead
this a lot.
gorgeous.
I love this a lot.
If
and
the thing will,
It was always a cool ship,
it was always a cool ship.
and
I love the fact it's got
like-
a little rebel logo, which is quite cool, and it's
and
also got this. It's also got a very
all roughed
sketchy
up.
paint. Yeah, it's all roughed up because obviously it's an old Clone War era's ship.
yeah, I can
That's obviously
actually
had taken its time.
You
You
can
know.
sort of tell that from like the way if you look at what was the Clone Wars, the amount of scratching that was there on like the uniforms and the uniforms and stuff like that as well.
So
It kind of
it's
sort of
skipping
applies,
yeah, sorry.
sort of applies the same sort of like aging. You can ask me that. You can ask me that question, aren't you, Elliot?
What question is that?
What do I think of it?
Yeah, what do you think of it?
If I were to give it a rating, I
Yeah.
suppose in Chris's words, I love the ship. I like the interesting stuff that's come up in the pack. But the pack itself, it gives, potentially players like me who I've specialised down playing Rebels, a few upgrades that I wouldn't necessarily have had, like for example the Adrenaline Rush. The new Astromech is nice. I like that. Having the modification for the vector thrusters, that's really nice as well. It just opens up quite a lot of stuff, and I
agree.
really love
The whole pack sells itself.
It's a high rating.
It's
It's
good.
a high rate. It
It's
sells
good pack.
itself because of not only the ship you get, but the upgrades you get with it.
It's a solid pack. I would not say to anyone you're stupid for picking up. I think it's a really good pack. You need to get an ARC-170.
Being a scum player, I'd pick it up not because I like the ship anyways. That's the thing. But it comes with 2 cards that, as a scum player, I'd love to have.
Tail Gunner.
A tail gunner and vector thrusters.
Yeah.
As someone had pointed out, Talonbane Cobra and Kyrix's.
Yeah.
are
Which
really good.
you get 2 copies of Vector Thrusters as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As it's a big expansion, they normally bung another card in for you.
You get an extra one, yeah. Then you get
Yeah.
2 Astromechs as well.
Yeah.
The 2 Astromechs.
Two
Oh,
copies
yeah.
of the
So 2 of 2.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But only 1 Tail Gunner.
We're gonna skip me and go to Chris because I think that's that ship's best saved for last, and we're going to show off